Call this meeting of the Orange Township Board of Trustees back to order. It is now 8:36, and I wanted to make mention of one other thing before we hear from Mr. Walters from Reinhardt Insurance, and this is addressed to Mr. Quigley. I took note of the fact during the break that we somehow missed item number J that you had specifically placed on the agenda.
Well, that's when we asked for the break, so that's fine.
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry about
I
that.
was going to say something, but I think the break is more important.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, can we start with your indulgence? Will that be a lengthy item?
No, it's really just a quick discussion.
With your indulgence.
That we might want to look into, but we've had several people apply for a pool pass that with diligence of Ms. Hughes, she has found many of them that technically don't live within the township nor are paying taxes in the township, because obviously we have some of the zoning areas that might be half and half. And there is a large number actually on.
I probably have about 24 at this point that I know of that have applied for a season pass and do not live within the Orange Township, nor do they pay the park tax, which is what our definition of a resident is for membership.
And the question is?
The question is that we've been getting a lot of pushback because again, she's going through a very good job of weeding through them. She's pushing back, and with that, we're running into instances where there have been several that said, "Hey, we've been a member for 4 years now, and you're telling I have to tell my kids now that we cannot go because we're not a resident or a taxpayer." So the question then is that okay, we have a situation now where we've identified some of the people that have been coming to the pool that we know that aren't paying taxes, that aren't part of the township. That do we want to move back to a situation where we have a non-resident application permit for annual seasonal pass to address those situations? I think there was a concern because there was a couple families that their kids have been enjoying North Only Park for several years, and then now they're at a point where we're saying no because we come to find out that they've been.
So we're talking about what, establishing a new non-resident season pass.
Right now, you only have a non-resident day pass.
Right.
Now, the question, obviously, with a non-resident, you have to put in consideration the fact that they are not a taxpayer, and therefore the fee structure should not be similar to that of a resident. Because the residents, obviously, since they have paid for the pool and also paying the taxes, that they should have an advantage over the non-residents. So it leads into the question is that do you want to establish a non-resident season pass? If so, we can start looking into
the reason that the non-resident season pass was an option that was taken away is because of concerns with overcrowding. So
That's my understanding.
are we concerned that if we reintroduce the non-resident season pass that will have additional pressure from a
With
crowding
the new
standpoint?
pool edition, I really can't say. I think what the new pool edition has done is just kind of relieve the crowding that we've gotten so that the residents now have the elbow room that they would like. The reason that I talked to Trustee Quigley about this was that I've received a couple emails that just kind of pull at the heartstrings about the kids. It's not that the parents that are looking to become members, it's the kids that somehow they've slipped through the cracks and they've acquired a season pass. I have a couple, there's 3 that I know of from a neighborhood that's south in Columbus, have stated that they were within the map area. I've researched this. I've checked with Mr. Bobowski. He's not aware of any map that there was. I've looked at the Delaware County map. It does not show this area within the township. I looked at our map. It does not show the area within the township. The tax district is not there. But somehow they've slipped through the cracks and they've been getting a membership. But it's really the definition of what they have to tell their kids, that they can't be a member, can't go to the pool with the same people that they've been going to the pool with, because A daily pass for a family of 4 is $42.
I mean, we
So-
don't have to tell them they can't come to the pool.
Right, and we're
The
not.
issue is, do you want to come to the pool? Do we want to allow them to come to the pool on a daily
Right.
non-resident pass, or do we want to reestablish a seasonal non-resident pass? We certainly don't want them to think they're not welcome to the pool.
No, and I hope that I've never implied that,
No.
because I've always, and even with speaking with them,
I'm
I've
just
tried
trying
to
to
give
frame
them
the issue.
ways to, to do it as conveniently as possible. The request has been, why don't you have a non-resident pass like some of the surrounding areas? And it's just a question that I would, it's just a situation that I'd like the trustees to be aware of, and to make the final decision, to being aware of the fact that to date, I've gotten almost 24 people that I've written a letter to. When we've gotten their season pass, we've returned their check and their application and said you are not eligible.
I don't really have a problem with, on a case-by-case basis, allowing some of those previous people. I do have a problem moving ahead and opening up the pool to any and everybody.
Well,
I
I would
do
like
have
to
a problem
refer
with
to Mr. McCarthy on a case-by-case basis, because what I don't want to do is to grandfather people in and have an issue from a legal standpoint of who we've allowed in as a non-resident.
Before we go to Mr. McCarthy, I guess I just question the ordering. We already set the rates for the 2010 season. We should have probably addressed this issue before we.
Well, we didn't, honestly, I think this is just an additional, which I'm sure we could add as a resolution if we needed to.
I don't think it's an issue of whether everyone can have access to the pool. That's never the issue. It's never the case. The proper framing is do we want to restrict them to a daily pass non-resident, or do we want to reintroduce the option for non-residents of a season pass? And that's a trustee policy decision. We used to have rates for non-resident season passes, so do we want to reintroduce that? I don't think it's a good idea to get into the case-by-case basis, because you're still setting a precedent, and people can point to the fact that, hey, this person is a non-resident and is paying a lower rate, and you get into discriminatory practices, and it's just not something, you don't want to open that can of worms.
Is there, and I agree with that, I just throw this out there just out of curiosity. Is there a way of doing it, saying, okay, what about only in the annexed areas?
It's still opening up to a lot of people. And even though we added
It's the
school.
city of Columbus. I mean, I think that they're non-residents.
Yeah, just,
unless they're paying the parks levy, I think the solution is if there is a desire to go in this direction, is dusting off the old non-resident season pass with rates and looking at that. And maybe it's appropriate, as you mentioned, with the new pool, maybe, because the policy reason before was because of crowding. Now that we have the extra pool, maybe it's not a justifiable policy rationale. I'm not trying to say that I'm making my mind up. I'm just saying that may be the reason. That may be a reason to look at it.
We didn't have any parking though, and that's a big issue. When the pool is crowded.
Well, that's a good point.
parking
So that's a
is
great
crowded.
point. That's a great
So
point.
There is
Add to
nowhere
the
else
base.
for them to park.
Can I table this discussion momentarily? Only
That's
because
fine.
I see what time it is.
no, that's great.
And we've got Mr. Walters out here waiting, patiently to talk to us, so can we continue that conversation on the flip side? Mr. Walters, I understand you've come to, and I apologize for the delay here, but I understand you've come to talk to us about our property casualty insurance.
That is correct.
All right, please do so.
I have 4 copies, so